Good morning. Thanks for joining. Wanted to I appreciate your taking time out of your schedule to attend today's session. My name is John Gary. I'm the Director of Infrastructure at DealerBuilt. And the time today is intended to be informative about the MFA that we're rolling out to our DealerBuilt customers and how that acts as the additional layer of security to protect the sensitive data. Our topics today are going to include what MFA is, why MFA, our reason for implementing, our solution, the timeline to implementation, a live demo of the enrollment and use, and where and how to get support and additional information. As for Q&A, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A, but if you think of something during the presentation, please enter your question in the Q&A section at the top, and one of the moderators will either answer or bring it up for discussion. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So the first item, MFA is a multi-factor authentication, which is a combination of different factors or methods of authentication for a single login. As the diagram shows, the three main categories that provide authentication are something you know, which would be like a password or a static PIN, like your ATM PIN, something you have, which would be a cell phone with an authenticator app, SMS, text messaging, email, or even a hardware token, or something you are. And this really applies to biometric features, fingerprints, facial or voice recognition, retina scan, etc. So this combination of two or more of these factors in order to authenticate a login really has improved security across logins, across many different platforms. So which brings us to why implement MFA? Well, first of all, the increased security standard method of minimizing the risk of exposure to sensitive information. And you've probably already used MFA in multiple places in your personal life, your bank account, online video streaming has it, other cloud services. And so DealerBuilt's implementing that same functionality and protection into accessing the solution we provide to you, our customers. This, again, the combination of multiple factors just makes it inherently more secure. So the initiative or the solution, I guess, that complies with the amended safeguards rule, which goes into effect in several weeks, short time frame, which is December 9th, 2022. And MFA is mandated to protect the information systems in which you're accessing. The solution that we selected is a vendor named Rublon. We evaluated solutions from several vendors. We evaluated how they aligned with our architecture, their company's ability to meet the need of our user base in a timely fashion, and their support and how well it worked with our solution. Rublon consistently showed the flexibility and the willingness to build solutions that we need to protect your data. Features we considered while looking for the appropriate solution were inline enrollment, which is the ability for end users to set up their own MFA during the login process and not have to go to another site or another location to do so. The ability for users to self-manage their MFAs factors without requiring interaction from a support organization. And speaking of the factor options, we were looking for a variety of factors which would allow flexibility for our user base. The available factors that we settled on were email, which is similar to a mobile push. You get an email at a designated email address, your designated email address, I'll just be clear, which is similar to a mobile push. You click the link in there and then you're authenticated into the solution. SMS passcode, which is a code sent via text message to a cell phone number, and you put that 6 digits in, and in Rublon's case, it's 6 digits. You put that passcode in and you gain access. And then the Authenticator app, which is has push functionality, where it would just notify you that you have an access attempt or a passcode, where it would present you a 6-digit passcode in that app, and you would put that into the authentication. Moving on to our integration timeline, environments have been prepared. The feature was generally available on 11.1. And tomorrow we had initially identified as required enrollment, meaning that users would have to use MFA. We did change that just a little bit, where there would have been factors that potentially pushed that date, and we actually got a new version of it that we're doing some testing on. So we may push that date just a couple days so that we can get through testing the upgraded version of the connector for your use. And again, this functionality is mandated to be enforced on 12/9. So we have several weeks, sans a holiday in the middle of there, in order to roll this out and have it available for the user bases. So we're about to jump into the demo. And I guess I should have said at the forefront, this is relatively a quick process. So let me switch screens here real quick. Are there any questions before I jump into the demo that need to be addressed, though?
There are not any questions in the Q&A, but if anybody has any at this time, please feel free to add some there.
Okay, so my Edge window should be available now, or you guys should be seeing it now.
Got it.
Okay, and so I'm using the Web Connect just out of simplicity for sharing. This does work on the thick client or the icon-based client as well. And so when I go to log in, I've already put in my credentials to get into the web. I click my icon and I'm presented with a manage authenticators. I'll show you this real quick. I don't have any authenticators set up currently. Otherwise, these would be darkened, and the icons that would be dark would show you which authenticators are set up. So we're going to run through adding an authenticator, and I'm going to set up my mobile phone. Actually, I'm going to set up this one. This is just the app, and I have an Android. And I have Rublon Authenticator already installed on my phone. So what I'm doing on my phone is opening the Rublon app and then adding this account. And now you see this one's highlighted for the mobile 6-digit code or the push functionality. So I'm going to go through the 6 digits, click on my phone. Here is the code they gave me, and I'm granted access. Now, anytime an authentication is requested under this ID, I'll be prompted for an MFA attempt, or the whoever logs in, if for whatever reason it's not you, would be presented with an MFA attempt and would need that set up from your phone. One other thing I wanted to showcase was the ability to manage the authenticators. I said you could manage them without calling a support desk. I just set one up, right? So I'm going to manage the authenticator, and I'm going to put in the next code. I like that one. That happens to be a palindrome. And so I can add an authenticator, which is my email address, or the email address I'm using for this. Excuse my typing today. Oh my goodness. And I will add this email address. And then if I go back to the authentication methods, now you see that email has been generated as a factor for me. So I can click on that. I'll get an email to my email box. And so I'm going to that right now. You guys, it's off screen so you can't see it, but I got the link in my email, and I click sign in on the link, and it's granted me access. So just like that, I added another factor, and in the same way you can remove one. I won't go through that process, but that manage authenticator button, there's a red icon with a trash can on it to the right-hand side, and that would allow you to remove one of the factors if you needed to update an email address or change a phone number, etc., if you chose the SMS option. So at this point, we'll jump back to the presentation.
John, we do have a question here from
Yep.
Greg. Greg, let me unmute you so you can ask your question. Go right ahead.
I didn't hear it. So just showing the can I get a thumbs up if you can see the screen again? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Yes,
Okay,
we
good.
can.
So
Greg, you
on
should be able to unmute yourself as well to ask your question.
the are we waiting on Greg? Sorry.
Greg, did you still have a question? You can unmute yourself and ask that.
All right, we'll have Greg put it in the chat and we'll get to it after. I've just got a handful more slides. So the push, what happens, this was the screen that was seen during the login attempt, and this is what the push looks like from your mobile phone. You hit the green check mark and you're allowed in. The 6-digit code you put into the box, and I put that in and I was allowed in. And then the email was just, like I said, a little sign-in button, and then I was authenticated through. This one right here with the 6-digit code, very similar to what you would get SMS. It would just be received via SMS instead of through the Authenticator app. And then the last slide we have is just where to get support. We have published a website under dealerbuilt.com/MFA, which has FAQs and a user guide. We are making last-minute adjustments to the user guide, so it might not be out there just yet, but it will be out there very shortly, I would say in the next day or two. Very simple to go through. We can also email you a PDF version of that if you need. And then, as always, you can go to DealerBuilt support either via email or the telephone number in order to submit support through our support team. So again, a relatively short presentation today. The MFA, we don't want it to be complicated. So having a short presentation is, key to kind of showing that off as well. So I see some questions in the chat. Jason Kincaid asks, is this both for AWS and on-prem? We currently have it deployed in AWS, Jason, on the hosted servers, but we can also deploy it in your premise if that's something that you would like to do. And then Kyle asked, he has users across 3 separate servers. Can they use one login chain, or will they need 3 separate MFAs? This MFA is tied to the single account. So if what you mean by 3 separate servers is they have 3 distinct logins, we would encourage to consolidate that to a single login, and then they would have a single MFA for that single login. I hope that answers the question, Kyle. And then a copy of the slideshow. Yeah, we can put this out to PDFs and for distribution. I don't know if we had done that before or done that yet. And then Jeremiah asked, can we log out and log back in to set up our MFA today? In order to set up your MFA, go ahead and go through your account manager, let them know you're interested. We'll need to know the users you want added, especially if it's a subset of users to the environment. And then secondly, an email domain that they would be using for the email authentication, if that's a method that you would like to utilize. We're limiting to exclude public domains such as Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, if you still have one of those, just to limit the surface of the email addresses that could be utilized for this, and increase the security and not let those available to those public services. I think there's another one. So Kyle, then they would have a separate MFA for each one of those logins. His comment was security does not allow for consolidation. So it would be one MFA factor per login. Or one MFA setup per login, multiple factors per MFA setup. Jeremiah, yes, every user will have to use MFA as of 12/9.
Greg, I see your hand is still raised. Do you still have a question? You should be able to unmute yourself at this time.
Kyle is saying that will be a cluster, so probably we can take that offline. Kyle, do reach out to us. We can try to understand what the use case here is and how best we can tackle that.
As of right now, each MFA attempt is good for that particular login. So every login attempt would be presented with an MFA challenge. Kyle, the ability is there to self-manage the MFA. So I guess our support will be able to do it. Obviously, DealerBuilt team would be able to do it. My team would be able to do it. But I think I'd really need to understand what the reset is, but we would handle that within DealerBuilt.
So
Hey,
we got to follow.
Kyle, as Deep said, I was just going to say, let's set up a time to discuss that. If you need my contact information, I'll have Shelly either send it to your, we can put it in the chat or whatever. And let's set up a time just to talk about your use cases. And I want to make sure that we're giving you a solution that's going to work for you and your user base.
We'll definitely do that, Kyle. We'll get you some follow-up information there and get you connected with John.
All right. Well, thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to go through this with us. Definitely appreciate all the questions. We'll get them added to the FAQ so everybody can benefit from them. And we look forward to working with you guys on this. Thank you very much and have a great day.